Good evening. Welcome to Mount Pleasant Presbyterian Church. My name is Tony Sane, and I serve as the Director of Music Ministries here at MPPC. And we are so glad that you could come out to our special concert tonight. The first announcement I would like to make is if you drive a white Ford Explorer that is parked directly across from our sanctuary, your lights are on. So if that's you, you know where to find it. It's straight across from our sanctuary. So just so you know. We are so glad to have Rachel O'Brien here with us tonight at harpist. We had to make a change this past week. Astralis Chamber Ensemble, Angela Massey and her husband, who are playing trumpet, both have COVID. So sadly, they could not join us tonight. But we are very thankful that they could turn around on a dime and provide some quality music. And I'll tell you, this is going to be an absolutely fabulous concert. So we're very thankful to have Rachel here with us tonight. You can read all about her in your program, and I hope that you will. So I'm so very excited about that. A few announcements before we get started. If you'll look at the back of your program, a huge shout out to our sponsors who make it possible to have concerts like this here in the Old Village, here at Mount Pleasant Presbyterian Church. And you'll see their names there. Thank you so much, sponsors, for all that you do to support the arts and the music ministries here. If you're interested in being a sponsor, you can see my email at the bottom of the list. You're welcome to send me an email. I'll send you all the information you need to know about becoming a sponsor. Sponsors, one quick note, if you plan on attending the sponsors reception, which is following this recital, and you would like to ride on the shuttle, it's actually our church bus. It is parked right outside in front of the fellowship hall, and we can take you over to the reception location following this recital. So if you plan on attending the sponsors reception and you're a sponsor, you're welcome to ride the shuttle parked right outside of our fellowship hall. You can find that as soon as the recital is over with. One other note, a big thank you to all of our MPPC Fine Arts Ministry team members who help also make this possible, volunteering their time and their efforts. You'll see their names under the supporting sponsors list. Thank you for all of those folks for all that you do. A couple more things. Our final concert in our 2022-2023 season is listed, and I am so excited about this concert. It's the Charlotte Master Chorale Chamber Singers. They're presenting a concert entitled Poets, and it will be at 3 p.m. on Saturday, May 27th. We're hoping that this will be a part of the Piccolo Spoleto series. That's why it's at an odd time during the day on that Saturday. It's Memorial Weekend. It will feature music featuring the poetry of William Shakespeare, Sarah Teasdale, and Maya Angelou. So absolutely fabulous program, and in my opinion, one of the better professional choirs in the Southeast. So I hope that you will mark your calendars and make an effort to be here on Saturday, May 27th at 3 p.m. right here in our sanctuary. Two other special events that are happening at our church that are not in your program. On Thursday, April 6th, Holy Week, Monday, Thursday, a special shout out to our choir here at MPPC. We will be presenting Fauré's Requiem in D minor Mass with musicians from the Charleston Symphony Orchestra. So we are very excited to do that. That will be at 7 p.m. here in our sanctuary on April 6th. That's our choir and musicians from the Charleston Symphony. Please tell your friends. We're going to publicize that as much as we can, but we're hoping to have a good number of people here for our Monday, Thursday service as we present that work, and I will tell you it will be absolutely fabulous. And then on Thursday, April 27th, the Charleston Flute Choir will be here in our sanctuary presenting a concert. Our music ministry has been in partnership with the Charleston Flute Choir this past year, and we're excited to be able to host them in their seasonal concert. So if you would love to hear some great flute music and some of the best flautists in all of Charleston, they will be here on April 27th. That's a Thursday night at 7 p.m. So I hope that you will come back and join us for these special events that we're having here at MPPC. And I'll also tell you we have worship every Sunday at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. in this space. And we would love to see you as a part of our church worshiping each Sunday. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me about that. J.S. Bach said, "Music is an agreeable harmony for the honor of God and the permissible delights of the soul." And as we begin this concert this evening, we can honor God and the delights of our soul with some wonderful music. So without further ado, please welcome Rachel O'Brien, harpist.
Thank you all so much. Wow, it's so great to be here in Mount Pleasant and to spend this evening with you. I want to say on behalf of Angela and Chris, my ensemble mates, they were very sorry to not be able to make it here tonight, but I am very excited to still be able to share the evening with you and to also represent my ensemble, Astralis Ensemble. So I thought it would be fun for the program today to sort of showcase my instrument a little bit and share with you one of my favorite harp composers, Marcel Grandjany. And I thought it would also be fun to sort of combine that with a composer you already know, because this composer was very influential for Grandjany in his composition. So Grandjany was a French harpist and composer who lived in the early 20th century. And he wrote in the Romantic style. So, like many Romantics, Grandjany was very influenced by the past, especially the Baroque era. Many Romantics often picked a Baroque composer to be influenced by. I'm thinking of Felix Mendelssohn, for example, and his fascination with Johann Sebastian Bach. Now, you may know this, but Bach was actually not very famous in his day. His sons were much more famous than he was, and once he passed away, he became largely forgotten until the mid-19th century or so, when Felix Mendelssohn discovered him and made him famous. So Mendelssohn is actually the reason why all of you have heard of Johann Sebastian Bach. So it was very similar with Marcel Grandjany, and he didn't make Handel famous, but he was very influenced by him, and he wrote a few pieces that showcase that. So the piece that you heard just now was Handel's Prelude and Toccata. This was originally a piece for organ, and Grandjany was also an organist, and so what he did was he transcribed this for the harp, and he did some special effects you might have heard, like playing near the soundboard to create a more Baroque tone, and also the harmonics, the special harmonic effects I was doing to create a bell-like tone. And those were sort of trying to emulate the sound of different stops on an organ. He also used the prelude to sort of showcase his improvisational skills. So the prelude would have originally been improvised to some degree by Handel, and so Grandjany did his own improvisation and then wrote it out. So that's what you heard in the prelude. The next piece is a piece by Handel that's one of my own transcriptions. I'm excited to play it for you tonight. This is his D minor suite for harpsichord. And you'll hear 4 dance movements. So there's an allemande, a courante, and then sarabande, that is a very famous one you might recognize, and finally the gigue. Please enjoy. wanted to take a minute to tell you a little bit about my instrument. So this is a concert grand pedal harp. This is the kind of harp you would see in an orchestra. It's the full-size instrument. It has 47 strings, and it also has 7 pedals at the base of the instrument. So the pedals are unlike the pedals on a piano, which change the articulation of the sound. These pedals change the pitch of the string. So they are connected to rods that go up the column, and then those rods are attached to these discs here. So when I move a pedal, the discs turn to put just enough pressure on the string to make it flat, natural, or sharp. So I have 3 different notches per pedal, 1 pedal for each note of the scale, an A pedal, B pedal, C pedal, and so on. And so I have a flat notch, natural notch, and sharp notch. So if I move a pedal, this is my C. So I'm gonna pluck this red string here, which is a C. This is C flat, and then when I move the pedal, the disc will turn, making it C natural, and then finally C sharp. And this changes all of the C strings on the harp at once, like that. So this enables us to be able to play in any key, and also travel from any key to any key. The only problem is, once you move a pedal, usually that means that you have to put it back at some point. And so this results in quite a lot of choreography and very strategically planned footwork. So you can look out for that in the following pieces. The next piece showcases this type of modern instrument a little bit, and it has an interesting story. This is Handel's Harp Concerto, and it's sort of a pillar piece for us harpists because it's one of the most frequently requested pieces, and certainly one of the most famous. This piece has an interesting story because it was written for an oratorio by Handel called Alexander's Feast. An oratorio is sort of like an opera, but it has a biblical theme, or sometimes a historical theme. This one was called Alexander's Feast, and the harp concerto was written to be played as an interlude, right in between Act 1 and 2. And it's interesting because the final text that ends Act 1 is the text, "Heavenly joys inspire." So they would hear this text and then immediately have the treat of listening to a harp concerto. The interesting thing, though, is that after this was performed, the harp concerto was put away and largely forgotten. It was stored away in the British Museum and forgotten until the early 20th century. And much like Mendelssohn rediscovering Bach's work, Grandjany rediscovered this piece and created his own edition of it for the modern pedal harp. So tonight I'm going to play this concerto for you, and it features Grandjany's own beautiful cadenza. A cadenza is sort of a spot that sounds improvised in the middle of a concerto where the soloist gets their own chance to show off a little bit. And this is found at the end of Movement 2, and it's really beautiful. It's not Baroque at all. It's written in Grandjany's own style, and it features the main themes of Movement 1 and 2 that he sort of expounds upon. So please enjoy this beautiful concerto, and you may be wondering, where's the orchestra, right? Because usually concertos are for a solo instrument with orchestra, and that's because Grandjany wrote this to be played with orchestra, but he also wrote it in such a way that the harpist could play it all by herself. And that's what I'm about to do for you tonight. I hope you enjoy it. You'll hear 3 movements, a fast movement, the slow movement with cadenza, and then it will immediately go into Movement 3. So please enjoy Handel's Harp Concerto. The next piece is one of my very favorite pieces to perform. It is so beautiful, and I'm excited you get to hear it tonight. This is Grandjany's Rhapsody, and it's written in his own style. The Romantic composers often wrote on the theme of love, and this piece is actually said to be Grandjany's love letter to his faith. He was a very devout Catholic, and this piece is actually based off of a Gregorian chant. It's fitting for this season because it's an Easter chant. It's called Salve Festa Dies, and it would have been sung at Easter. And it's said that Grandjany wrote this piece in gratitude to God for the resurrection, and specifically for what that meant, specifically the hope of heaven. And I can't help but wonder if Grandjany thought of Handel's harp concerto and that text, Heavenly Joys Inspire, as he wrote this piece. So I hope it inspires you. This is a lovely work. You will hear the Gregorian chant-like tones at times. It's meditative at times. You might hear church bells. And then all of a sudden, it will break out into a rhapsodic song. So please enjoy this Rhapsody by Grandjany. want to thank everyone who made this concert possible, especially everyone here at Mount Pleasant Presbyterian. Thank you to all the donors, and I also want to say thank you to the Astralis Ensemble. Even though they weren't able to make it today, our artistic director, Angela, did a lot of work to make this concert possible as well. So thank you to everyone. The last piece is another piece by Grandjany, but not Handel, the other classical H composer, Hibben. And it's just fun. I hope you enjoy it. It's a theme and variations, which means you'll hear a slow introduction, then the main theme, followed by 5 variations, and a very exciting finish. So thanks again for joining me tonight, and please enjoy Fantasy on a Theme by Hibben.